Welcome to A Piece of CX. This week we're going to take a look at interaction analytics within CXone. Now, interaction analytics is a really interesting part of the platform, and it's a part that for years I always used to demo, and I showed it on pretty much every single demo. And then I had a sales leader go, "Why are we showing this? No one ever buys it." There were a few more expletives in and around that statement, but it kind of made me think a bit more about why do we show this and why is interaction analytics important? And the more time I spent in the product, the more the why becomes clear. And it's, if you think about traditional contact centers, you'll have a quality team, you'll have a forecasting team, you'll have resourcing teams, you'll have supervisors. You may not have people looking at the data from an analytical level and from a trend analysis level. And quality management is great, but you're still telling it what you're looking for. You're saying, I want to score this. Did this person do this, this, and this? Interaction analytics takes things on the same analytical coin, but the different side of it, in that we're looking for what has gone on. We don't know what we're looking for necessarily. Now, we can target things and we can make things really, really interesting, but we can use this as a trend analysis tool within CXone to understand what's going on across all interactions, whereas quality management is a dip. You know, we're dipping 2 calls or 2% or 5%, and we're just trying to see what's happened and we're scoring those. Whereas this is what is going on a macro level across all kinds of different interactions. So that makes things interesting. And the other thing with interaction analytics is it doesn't demo brilliantly. So in my past, I used to be on various different demo platforms with big engineering teams, and it's a bit messy, to be honest. We had lots of automated calls. For some reason, those automated calls started talking about Zelda or Star Wars, and it's like, that's not really real world. So what I'm going to show you here is actually anonymized data. So here we're going to look at something that is a bit real worldy, but purposely then anonymized to not make it real worldy. So it's actually a click-through demo. If you don't use click-through demos as an engineer, I would very much recommend getting to know them, as you never know when something in live isn't going to work. And the beauty about HTML demos is you can then package them up and share them with customers as well. So here I'm just going to click into one board, and this is what we call a workplace or a workspace even. And you can add a number of different widgets to this from across interaction analytics, and you can have lots of different workspaces within a data set, which means you can tailor it to different needs that you're looking for. So here we've got an overall what's going on, the kind of heat of the situation across the last 7 days. It's number how many interactions we've had, how many are positive, how many are negative, what the ratio is. But then we have something, and this is included within the IAA license, which is really difficult for me to pronounce sometimes, but that is Interaction Analytics Advanced. That brings in enlightened behavior scoring for sales effectiveness and CSAT. So we can see here where our teams are doing for various different behaviors that are built on the enlightened AI model that has been around for a few years now and is built on a generation of interaction data. We can see frustration trends, and this could be different categories, this could be different agents, and really start to get into the why something is happening. We can see what people are talking about. Now, this was where I really started to tailor my demos a few years back, in that, say you're talking to an ISP, and they have an internet outage somewhere and they start to see a town or a city get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. That tells you you've got an issue with that city. I always used to say Stoke, and I have no idea why I used to say Stoke, but that would be the one I would give. And then you can click into that and understand what's going on, see what's being said, and then really tailor that, and maybe go and change some of your customer experience, maybe get some messaging out to your agents. More on that later. We have intent analysis now. This is fairly new within interaction analytics. With the bringing in of topic AI, we can see various different intents, and you can start to tailor these based on the verbiage of your business. There are a number of out-the-box models as well. So we can see what's going on over time. Now, lots of different views here. So if I go and click and view a slightly different one, then we can have a look at some behaviors, and we can see how our teams are doing over certain behaviors, over certain times. We've added some filters here, so it's only looking at certain teams. And I can see here straight away, overcoming objections is an issue. In fact, it is a low score by quite a big factor. I can go and see the certain teams where that's impacting, and that allows me to go and target training to make life better for those agents, to make them more equipped, to make them stronger, to go and be successful in the contact center. Now, we can do lots of things with this. We have a language model underneath that allows us to build out the verbiage of a business. This can be marketing campaigns. This can be what you say in your sales scripting, your customer service scripting. This can be things such as vulnerability. So one of the things I've done here is I've started to build out the various different financial services vulnerabilities around health, around capabilities, and we can click into that and understand that more and then drill into individual interactions. So we can have a list of all of our various different interactions, and then we can click into them. We can see at a high level what was going on in terms of sentiments and resolution and all that kind of stuff. And then within an interaction, we can then see the transcript. This is where you can see a transcript within CXone. You need interaction analytics to get there. And the other thing to note here is with 25.3, the player here is moving more into line with the rest of the platform as well. Just going to pause for a moment as there is a dog that wants to get into my office. So we can go through an interaction and we can then click into it. With Topic AI, we can then have firstly, our notes from auto summary. So this is where the platform starts to all come together here. But we can see our intents, our actions, and our outcomes. So one of the things we talk about auto summary being is it's a great way of, improving the general quality of notes. But if you combine it with intents and actions and outcomes, then actually, do you need a disposition? Do you need a drop-down list, which your agent then picks, and it's a pure, decision they're going to make versus something that the platform is going to grab from the data. So subjective versus data-driven, up to you. All of this starts to come together as you build more and more within the CXone license stack. If we click into another area, which is included within Interactions Analytics Advanced, we have Auto Discovery. Now here I've built this based around a home insurance scenario, but let's go back to that scenario that I was talking about earlier with ISPs and outages. Here you can see not only what's being said, but related conversations. This is a multi-level kind of illustration that you can then click into and understand there's different things. So if I click here on this area, we can see that when people are talking about flat roofs, they're also talking about garages, and that's also a child off of contents and buildings insurance. So again, go back to our ISP. What happens if you've got an outage? Well, people are then asking, when will I get an update and will I get a refund? You may not see that without this layer of data, but what you can then do is utilize that to improve the customer and the employee experience. If next time you know you've got an outage in Stoke, use Proactive AI Agent from CXone to send an SMS to all customers impacted, which to start with sounds counterintuitive. Well, what if? Well, what you do is you make sure that that message is, we know there's an outage, this is how long we expect it to be for, this is when we'll next update you, and you will automatically get compensation after X, Y, and Z, for example. What that actually does is prevent future contact because your customers have context of what is going on. Now that's really, really interesting because what you can also do then is brief your agents. This is what's going on, get ahead of the curve, let customers know this is what we're going to do. We're going to update you here. You can also go and update your IVRs, go and update your web chat, go and update whatever you need to because you've now got the data that tells you when we have this issue, people ask about this, this, and this. So think about that layer of data that you've got available to you. If we click into this, we can understand it, understand the words, where things are being said, and we can build that out in really interesting ways. Now, the only bit here I haven't properly covered in full is Topic AI, because that's a relatively new addition into CXone. But where we see interaction analytics becoming more and more relevant, especially from a time when I used to be asked, why do you demo that? Is this layer of data allows you to make data-driven decisions for the benefit of your customers, for your employees, and ultimately for your business. We see interaction analytics categories bleeding through into quality management now. They're forming the basis of data policies within Interactions Hub. You are seeing interaction analytics become a must-use aspect of CXone rather than a nice to have. So if you've just started to look at CXone and you don't have an analytics person or a trending analysis person, find your curious people. Find the people that want to spend time building out data models, building out all of this kind of data, because actually the benefits here, this is an absolute treasure trove. And the more you use it, the better you use it, the more your business and your employees will benefit from it, and ultimately your customers benefit. So that's interaction analytics for CXone, an absolute treasure trove of data. Thank you for joining A Piece of CX.